Good evening, folks, and welcome to Inside the Consolidated Channel 18. As always, I'm your host, Brock White. Joined by the Dickinson Press's managing editor, Dustin Monkey.
Mustin Donkey.
You got me all fired up. You made a Sooners joke for Katie.
I had to make a suit. Go Cougars!
No, that's a tough one, man. Boomer Sooner. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How are you today?
Good. I'm really good. Joining us tonight in studio, Mr. Ryan Nelson, the Dickinson Park and Rec Facility Manager. Talk about upcoming fall leagues, rec leagues, winter leagues, and what you can expect at the Western Community Center this fall and winter.
Busy slate of events
this is
coming
kind
up.
of their prime time.
It is,
Folks
yep.
can't go outside and be active. They got to come inside and do things, and the community center's got your back when it comes to that for sure.
Yep.
As always, we kick things off. Look at the week in review, the biggest stories in the paper the past week. We kick it off with Blue Hawk Square. A little controversy around Blue Hawk Square at the moment.
What a interesting story. This is a story
Very
I
interesting.
wrote it for the weekend. I've been working on this story for a long time.
You have Matt, residents
Yep.
of the neighborhood,
It
and
is.
Matt, building owner, and broken promises along the way. It sounds like, or not broken promises, but
Oh, it's such a long.
there's
It's,
so
it's
many
just. It was just one more shoe to drop in this whole DSU
shortcuts. A
Foundation
lot of
thing.
shortcuts were taken. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know the extent of that yet. We can't.
Yeah.
We're not in the building. We
But
couldn't
I'm
get in the
talking
building,
just
but
the permits and the zoning with it. You can get into it here. But
there was never a full certificate of occupancy for that building in the 2 years that those kids lived there.
How does that happen? And how does the city let that happen?
There was a temporary certificate of occupancy, but
How long
they
does
never,
temporary last?
it can last for that long as they keep, pushing it down the line. But
Seems like
I
someone
think what
turned a-
happened. Well, what
someone
happened
turned
was
a blind
the city,
eye.
Well, the city was just so busy doing other things. They're like, whatever. They're in there.
That's a huge
you know.
thing. It's this college
Yeah.
thing on Main Villard. and
I know.
How do you not notice that in the shuffle?
I think it just got lost.
Well, they
I don't
noticed-
think it got lost in the shuffle. I think it just got kicked down.
Put on the back burner?
Keep kicking the can down the road, and then when the DSU Foundation thing all came down, when they got pushed into receivership.
We should take this back to the start. We kind of jumped ahead of this.
Right.
thing
I
a
mean, when the
little bit.
DSU Foundation got pushed into receivership,
Yeah.
I think the city's like, okay, we'll let them deal with it. We'll
Yeah.
let the state deal with it at this point. And then now this year, Blue Hawk Square, sitting there on Villard attached to the Oasis, sits empty. Nobody's in it. I incorrectly called it a 3-story facility in the story. That was one of the dumbest mistakes I've ever made, but it is a 4-story facility.
Sure.
And you've got 108 rooms and a room for 108 kids in there,
Yeah.
students that aren't being filled. But the reason is the Dakota Bank owns it through they took the deed in lieu of foreclosure.
Yep.
It's just a mess right now. They're trying to figure out how to manage. Roars is going to be managing it when they get going.
But now also the
parking
Oasis.
problems.
Okay, I start with that first.
There's parking problems there.
Students had to park.
The guy who owns the Oasis, Shell Thompson, had been leasing a parking lot that he owns across the street on Villard to the south. He owns that little lot there, a couple lots actually.
Yeah.
And he'd been leasing that to the DSU Foundation.
So students had to cross Florida to get to
Nobody
Blue Hawk
parked
Square.
there.
Yeah,
Nobody
no one
parked
did.
there, ever. They all parked along the street, on the side streets.
So that would block the residents.
well,
the homeowners.
Homeowners couldn't park along their streets. They
would
couldn't
block
have neighbors
their-
over.
They couldn't get the trash cans out. Mailboxes
Right.
were blocked.
One guy
all
had
kinds of stuff.
one guy. One of the guys I talked to. He works in the oil field. He works for Armstrong, and he said that there was one time during the winter where he was parking on his lawn because there was nowhere else for him to park his work truck.
Sure.
And he ended up having to call the cops to get them to tow away the vehicles, and the cops didn't want to tow away the vehicles because then it was a whole rigmarole to go wake these folks
Yeah.
up and the thing. So they ticketed him, and he found a way out, but
So there's
should have had to deal with
There's
all
no parking, and the citizens of the neighborhood are coming together, and they came to the
the Board of Adjustment meeting
Yeah.
last month, and now they're going to go to the Dickinson Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on Monday to talk even further about this as the bank comes forward to try and get a parking variance to allow those students that would live in Blue Hawk Square to park in the DSU campus parking, which is a good idea in theory, but as one guy who lives on that street says, you had them parking across the street a block away. What makes you think they're going to walk 3 blocks the other way and park?
They're not.
They're not. I mean, if you want to go out and run and get groceries, if you're living in Blue Hawk Square,
You're going to pull up the front door.
you're going to pull up the front
Yeah.
door, and that's where you're going to stay
You're
if
gonna
there's
park
a parking
and leave it
spot.
there, yep.
But I think the cops need to step in here when they reopen Blue Hawk Square eventually, if they do the way that they want to do it, and just really patrol that area.
No, you got to get you look for the sticker on the bumper, the permit.
Well, they
sticker,
don't do
parking
that
sticker.
anymore either.
They need to do something like they need to do some.
Yeah.
They need some kind of control method in place.
Right. I mean,
if
there's
that's
so
the
many
case.
ways people can sneak around parking.
Yeah.
I'm almost an advocate of putting timed parking there.
Not a bad idea.
I mean, unless you have a get a residential parking permit for those like
Unless
3 or
the
4 streets.
Vehicles registered. Yeah.
Yeah, unless vehicles registered there. I don't know. It's
a mess.
There is no clear answer to that.
And then also in the inside of the building, because it was prefab when it was brought here, the walls were put together before it was constructed and came here. There's concerns about the structural integrity and some of the
And if you remember, it rained a lot when they were putting that thing up. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But there are issues there. They had. And Dakota Banks, Jeff Moore even admitted this. That's one of the things that they're first things they changed.
They're taking a big burden on here.
They are, and they had no choice. They were the mortgage holder on it. But there was washer and dryer units, which have the outlets in them, obviously, right next to showers. Who designs things that way?
That doesn't work.
I think what happened was when they designed it, they wanted to shove everything in there as much as they possibly could get in there, and it was designed like a haphazard, big city place, and that's.
Not good. Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. That's a developing story. There's a lot to come out of that.
Right.
They've got a lot of hurdles to get over, and
there's more to it.
They got a problem solve with the community too.
I think I'll be at a planning and zoning commission meeting around 7:30 in the morning on Monday.
There you go. Speaking of some planning and zoning and some things in the city, recently City Engineer Craig Kubis came to the City Commission and said, hey, we have 12 miles of interrupted sidewalks in Dickinson, incomplete sidewalks.
Quite a few in my neighborhood.
What should we do? Should we fill these things in, or what are their plans
2.7 million, I believe, is what I read.
For 12 miles of sidewalk.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, should we not? I think you start with the
major
residential areas, where say there's a lot of like the one resident of Empire Road said there is a lot of running and a lot of people who walk along that road. It's a nice neighborhood. It's mostly all residential. I think he's got a point that fill it in there first. Fill it in.
Maybe some of the places that aren't as heavily densely populated.
Well, and then here's the question: where does it stop and end? I live on the north side, and it's all residential area where I live, and there is one lot that's empty currently, so there's no sidewalk there. So do you put a sidewalk there? I mean, and then what if someone chooses to buy that lot and build there?
Doesn't want the sidewalk.
Well, I mean, the construction company's got to rip up that sidewalk.
That's
have to redo
it.
That
doesn't want, but
so
has to. It's in the way of construction.
Yeah.
And so maybe the idea is to look at the major thoroughways, the major places that need the sidewalks that are incomplete, and then go from there.
Right.
The major arteries.
I think they've got a point. I think the city has other things to spend money on now, and I think there's going to be some other projects coming down the line and some other surprises related to the DSU Foundation that the city is probably going to be forced into taking on down the line because there's going to be no other choice.
A certain stadium.
And I think that sidewalks people can walk on the dirt for 12 feet if they want.
They'll be all right.
I mean, they'll be all right, yeah.
Plus, it's about to start snowing.
Shoes might get muddy, but
it's the snow like
that's the thing too. Is like you're gonna walk. I mean, that's what
less
they say.
To shovel too.
It's better. Having a sidewalk is better when it snows and when it's bad outside because that has to be cleaned. But then again, what if you have a lot that's empty? It's never going to get cleaned. Never going to get cleaned.
Yeah.
So
we'll keep an eye on that. That's it's a start. It's the conversation's been started.
Right.
The Dakota Access Pipeline, Dustin, is once again filling our airwaves and has the mainstream media, the left, all fired up in the big cities.
Oh yeah, Superman, Batman.
Yeah, they're
all those guys. They're all fighting against it now. And it's just like
Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein and running mate came out to the Dakota Access Pipeline over Labor Day weekend.
First visit to North Dakota.
First visit to North Dakota.
Well,
ever.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
Not ever, but for this campaign though.
Yeah, for this campaign.
Little background on Jill Stein. She's a third-party candidate. Fourth party. She's currently polling in the single digits, 2% in most polls, 2%.
Which is about what she polled last time around.
Yeah. So, Green Party is what it sounds like. They're a very environmentally conscious party. They come here, and Jill Stein decides that it's cool to vandalize
one of the construction companies.
Bulldozers. Yeah, she spray paints it.
Spray paints. I approve this message.
And now
which you'll get if there is clever.
Now there's a warrant out for Jill Stein's arrest for vandalism, along with her running mate for spray painting it, along with other people that were there as well.
What a story! I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up.
Yeah,
this thing needs to stop. I mean,
the protesters trespass.
Right.
They vandalize.
Well, now the landowners, I saw on KFYR the other day that the landowners are finally speaking up. The people that's their land that they pushed down the fence, they're done with it.
Well, how about this too? How about the tribal chairman for Standing Rock and some other people that sit there and say, we don't condone these actions of these protesters that aren't part of our tribe.
Right.
We don't condone the actions of the protesters that come from California, from New York, that are violent. Yeah. That are violent and are vandalizing. We don't condone people tearing down fences.
Then tell them to leave.
That's them saying in press releases. But yet these people latch on to the protest du jour, the protest of the day, the outrage of the day.
That's exactly what it is.
And they come here and it's, I guarantee you, if there wouldn't be a news camera, there wouldn't be those people there. They would have nothing to do with this.
Do you think Ben Affleck knew where Standing Rock and Fort Yates was?
You think Jill Stein did?
No.
You think the girl from
Divergent?
Yeah, came and what's her name? I forget her name.
Second-rate Mary Jane.
Anyways,
didn't even got cut from Spider-Man.
It's these people that come here, and this is me ranting a little bit.
Yeah.
These people that come here, these Hollywood types, these people from these big green movement organizations that come here. What have you done for the Standing Rock Reservation until now?
Right.
Have you done any money? Have you came here and volunteered your time?
At least Obama came here.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't spoken out on this, but at least he came here and he saw it.
Until this happened, were you even aware what the Standing Rock Reservation was?
Right. I mean,
do you know what the three affiliated tribes are? Have you ever came here and donated your time and your money?
They just hear pipeline, water, oil,
camera news, CNN, Fox, MSNBC. They're here.
Cause, it's those words. It's all these trigger words.
I'm over it. Let's let it go through the proper channels and get it figured out.
At this point, the federal government needs to step in. It's on their land. It's not state land. I mean, that's why Dalrymple and the state are basically backing off of it and saying, let them protest because it's not our land. But now that they're getting onto private landowners' land and they're pushing down fence.
The state's got to take a stand as well.
The state has to stand up at one point.
And I know Dalrymple doesn't want to get too.
I think Dalrymple
on the way out.
I think Dalrymple and Archambault need to sit down together and say, okay, what do we do here? You tell me, Dave, what we need to do, and we'll figure this thing out.
Let's handle this like
if you
adults.
Okay, here's the deal too. Some of these folks that are down there, they're putting bandanas over their faces so the cameras can't see who they are because they don't want to get in trouble. Or they might have a criminal past.
And the worst part is there are people from Fort Yates and Standing Rock that are peacefully protesting.
They're just hanging out.
They're praying and they're doing what they believe.
Or from the Rosebud Reservation down south.
Yeah, they're expressing their constitutional right. Then these yahoos come in that aren't from here, make this big scene, and they ruffle these feathers up, and that's
and they're the ones that kept it going.
And now that's the image this protest has.
Right.
And it's totally misconstrued, and it's got the wrong representation to the general public, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, like I said, when Hollywood gets involved, it's time to okay, time to shut her down.
And they'll find a new toy to play with in the next month. And they'll go somewhere else, and they'll go to Pennsylvania about fracking or something, or Wyoming about flaring, and they'll be there. And they'll have their next 15 minutes of fame there.
There you go.
Dustin, on a brighter note, a very nice story. Local family, the Stevenson family. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a cool
Three
story.
babies, 3 years in a row, all on the same day, September 1st.
It's a cool story. Yeah.
That's nuts. It's got to be a Guinness Book of World Records thing.
I inquired about that, actually. There is no such record set up.
Well, now it's time.
It's time to start maybe thinking about that.
Very interesting.
So I got to be in more contact with Guinness and ask them.
I don't think you could plan that.
Well, the first two were completely unplanned. The third one was...
Hey, we're here.
I think they were all unplanned. I think this one, the last child here, Henry, little guy, he's cute, and he came a little early even because she was ready. She said
September 1st. That's the magic day for the Stevenson family.
Oh, she went to the hospital and she's like, it has to be done on September 1st. It has to be done on September 1st. She was ready. She was ready to go. The mom was, but great family, nice family.
Makes planning birthday
folks.
Parties easy.
Right. I mean, they came here to work in the oil fields, and they just another good family that
it's
hanging out.
Just a nice, fun story. It's heartwarming, and
she's going to go back to work for Harbison Fisher too.
Good for her.
They've got
good for them.
Yeah, 3 kids, 2 and under now, and she's planning to go back to work.
Wow.
She has a good job, and she wants.
She mentioned in the article she wants to keep the job. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, I would too. I mean, she's got a great job, and he's got a great job. So why not stick with it?
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now this story though, Dustin, it went quite viral. I mean, nationally.
Today Show, Good Morning America picked it up.
Didn't give you some props.
Didn't give us credit. No, God no.
How
That's how the national media.
How else did they come across?
We had to kind of put the thumb down on
Good Morning America.
Good Morning America for using our
without
photos
credit.
Without credit or permission. So kind of those are copyrighted for Dickinson Press and Foreign News Service. So it's like if somebody picked up our video and didn't give Consolidated and the press credit
or
for
get permission for the
or get permission from us.
It's ridiculous.
Ron over here would be on the phone all day, freaking out.
He'd be on the horn making it happen.
But yeah,
you listen to me, Matt.
I don't mind national outlets picking up stories that we write. I just want to have credit for that in some way, shape, or form. And it wasn't not just me. Sharon Johnson from NBC was there. Yeah. We both did that story. It was a really cool experience. We thank Stephanie Fong and Dr. Lowe from the hospital for letting us know about that. but obviously the national outlets find. But there wouldn't be national news if there wasn't local news.
That's right, exactly.
And you can ask John Oliver about that. John Oliver had a 20-minute tirade about that. It was great.
About the cut down on local news and local newspapers.
The cut down in local newspapers. If you didn't have local newspapers, you should go
YouTube, but it's really good.
Even the bigger papers, these people like Good Morning America and Today Show, they wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Spotlight, investigative journalism.
Right.
You wouldn't have it if it wasn't for local papers digging into these stories.
Exactly.
For sure. Good stuff there. All right, Dustin, we'll come back after this break with the interview with Mr. Ryan Nelson, talk about the upcoming events at Dickinson Park and Rec this fall and winter.
I can't wait to go back to school. I know, sounds nuts, but Mom and Dad said we're getting internet from Consolidated for back to school. We'll have downloads way faster than we do now. So even with all our gadgets online, Dad's laptop, Mom's smartphone, my sister's tablet, I'll have all the speed I need, for reports and stuff. Plus, Mom says Consolidated's customer support makes it a great value. Call or click Consolidated today for the fastest internet available.
All right, folks, welcome back to Insight. Today we welcome in the studio Mr. Ryan Nelson, the Dickinson Park and Rec Facilities Manager. Mr. Nelson, how are you?
I am doing great this morning, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
The weather is getting crisp outside. The leaves are changing colors. That means it's time for fall and winter programs at the Rec Center. What's coming up? What do you guys have starting, and what can we look forward to this fall and winter with Dickinson Park and Recs?
Well, we have our fall program starting. Actually, they kicked off last night with women's fall volleyball.
Oh, wow, already?
Yep, that started last night. And the co-ed volleyball will start on Monday night.
Okay.
And then we have our adult 3-on-3 flag football, which will be starting next Thursday, the 15th.
So 3-on-3 flag football.
Or excuse me, 3-on-3 basketball.
Okay, flag football
that
still
starts.
there too.
3-on-3 basketball starts on Wednesday, the 21st.
Okay. And that's a big draw. That's one of your bigger events, probably.
Our 3-on-3?
Yep.
No, we get 12 teams.
Oh,
really?
It used to be bigger. When I did it, was so much bigger than that.
Yeah, this is a league. It's not a tournament.
But
it's the adult league, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And then our adult flag football, which starts on next Thursday, the 15th, and we've got 15 teams in that. That's
pretty good.
That's going to be good.
Pretty
Is that
steady.
7-on-7? What is that?
We've got it down to 6-on-6.
Okay.
And we play on a 60-yard field.
Nice.
We play down at Gress Softball Complex under the lights on Thursdays and Sunday nights.
Wow, fun. Yeah.
So if you want to see any adult flag football Thursday night,
some reliving of glory days, we'll see.
Yeah.
Polk High.
Yep. But we've got 15 teams. That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And end of September already, we will have registration packets going out for our adult full court basketball.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Already the end of September.
That time of year.
Yeah. Ron Phelan Memorial Volleyball Tournament. We'll have stuff on the information on the web for that, the registration. That is October 22, 23.
Okay.
And that's men's and women's on a Saturday and co-ed on a Sunday.
Okay, cool.
And then also Old Pro sign up. We would like to get more people into the Old Pro.
I qualify for that this year.
Right.
Explain what that is. I'm not sure what the Old Pro is.
Old Pro basketball is for those ones that still think they're great but aren't so great. Can't keep up with the young kids anymore.
Yeah.
They're probably a lot more,
over, right?
So
probably a lot more talent, but they just can't go the full court like the young kids in our regular
And the
leagues.
lateral movement's a little gone too.
Right.
Not as quick, yeah.
Yep.
But we do an Old Pro draft with that. And so you have to call in, sign up for our draft, and we get managers, and we actually draft the teams, so they're pretty
I love
balanced.
it. That's great.
32
And
years
It's
old,
32 and up is what it is?
You must be 32 years old by March 14 of 2017, which is the last day of that program.
Qualify.
As
long as you make it.
next year. Yeah,
So that end date fluctuates a little bit year to year. It's the last date of the program. So anybody that wants to sign up for Old Pro basketball, just call the Park and Rec office.
like
Say, well, my
Old
buddy
Pro
who's
basketball.
40 years old, he's like, hey, you qualify this year. You qualify this year. You need to come so I can draft you.
It's kind of like when you watch the All-Star game.
We're thinking about it.
The All-Star game, they have the Legends game afterwards.
Yep.
Like Daryl Strawberry, those guys are out there. Yeah.
I don't know so much about legends here.
Yeah. Some local legends would be in there, yeah.
There are some really good players, some guys that are in their 50s now that still play. They're still lighting it up.
Fundamentals, man, too. They got fundamentals.
They do have fundamentals.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
But it's
exciting.
but the Old Pro is a great opportunity for a lot of the older ones that still love to play basketball, but yet
25-year-olds aren't blowing them off the line.
yeah, and they're not on a team,
Yeah.
but yet this way it gives them an opportunity to
Cool.
play.
Very
Right.
cool.
Last chance softball tournament this Sunday, September 11th. We have 24 teams.
Yeah. That's always a big draw, yeah.
Yep, start at 8 o'clock in the morning and last championship games at 4.
All in one day.
All in one day.
Fantastic.
And that ends our softball season for the year then.
Softball.
Are you kind of happy when softball gets over? Softball seems like a grind.
I know our maintenance people are.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many? It was 3 days a week. There's softball down at the fields. 3 days a week.
During the summer,
Yeah.
it was women's, and we had an overflow co-ed on Monday nights.
Oh wow.
Tuesday and Thursdays was men's that were pretty much plumb full, and co-ed on Wednesday night was plumb full.
4
We can
nights a
take
week.
24 teams a night because that's what we have allowed
It
for.
wasn't there Thursdays too. Thursdays was men's.
Monday,
Thursdays,
Tuesday,
yeah,
Wednesday,
yeah,
Thursdays,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah.
actually had, because women's were down, typically around the 12, 13
Right.
teams, so we have open diamonds. So we actually had 29 co-ed teams this year. We had a 5-team league on
That's
Monday
humongous.
just to fit them in.
Wow.
That's
So-
great.
Co-ed has really taken off.
Oh, absolutely.
So things have gotten more recreational and less competitive with
Very
our
cool.
adult leagues.
So that's a lot of good activities coming up this fall and winter. People can sign up. What's the website they want to find the
Just
information?
DickinsonParks.org.
Okay, fantastic. And now the Ice Center's got a lot of stuff happening too.
Ice
some
Center,
expos and
yeah.
stuff and things happening there this fall and winter.
We have 2 events that are coming up here soon, which will end the off-ice season,
Sure.
basically. The Pride of Dakota Harvest Showcase, which is September 17 and 18.
That's all local
Yep.
Dakota products.
Right, all
Yeah.
of North Dakota products. Kelly Wald from North Dakota Government.
Department of Agriculture,
Yep.
She runs the Pride of
kinda
Dakota
heads
program.
that.
Dots, pretzels, and all those good things.
Right,
Are there,
Yeah,
and
all
your
Dots pretzels.
it's,
Got a little bit of
jams
everything.
and stuff.
And it's
noodles.
kind of
and
everything
yeah.
from our area, from Western North Dakota, and even further beyond.
Yeah.
They come here. So
Correct. And then Southwest Water Festival is Thursday, Friday, September 22, 23.
How many years that's been going on a long time. the
Quite a
Water
while.
Festival. Yeah.
Yep.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
I know they bring all this the school kids in
Yeah.
in
Right.
the afternoon, and then it's open to the public in the evening.
Yeah.
And then right when that's out of there, on ice setup in the main arena starts on Monday the 26th. So then we'll have a week
to
of
it.
ice setup, and then
Yeah.
we'll have first part of October. We'll have both sheets of ice going, and then it's all ice from there until March.
So I mean, the new arena it just comes online at the same time as the big arena, right?
What we've done, I believe it was last year we started, toward the end of July, right at the end of, or middle of March, the ice comes out.
Okay.
And then we have all of our off-ice stuff. And then end of July, that last week in July, the hockey club has some camps, some summer camps that go on now. So ice goes in the new arena because that's capable of doing that. The main arena isn't.
Right.
But the new arena is capable of putting ice on year-round. We don't, because it's just not economically feasible. But end of
camps, that kind of stuff,
right,
though,
end of
yeah.
July they do that and have some camps and so forth, and then we keep it in there and run some public skates. And another thing we are doing this year, starting Monday the 12th, is we're offering an adult stick and puck, we call it,
Oh.
because we have our public skates, which run Tuesdays and Fridays from 7 to 9 p.m., and then starting in October, we also, when the second sheet of ice gets up, then we also have Saturday and Sundays 1:30 to 3:30 for our public skate. But you can't take sticks and pucks out there
Right.
during
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Right.
And we haven't had that offered, so we're offering that Monday nights, 8:45 to 9:45 p.m.
Come for an hour and shoot the
$4 fee, and you can shoot sticks and pucks. No games,
Right.
but people can practice their skills. Adults, not
Yeah.
high school and
Right.
so.
18 and up.
Because we haven't had that before, and
That'd be-
opportunity, because they do have an adult league, but they don't have a chance ever to actually practice
that'd
any
be
skills.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah, I
I
guess
just wanna-
if you're playing city league basketball, you
Yeah.
can go over and shoot at the rec anytime. But
Right.
if you're playing city league, hockey, it's a little bit tougher.
Right. So it's we're trying that this year. Hopefully, people come out Monday nights. bring
I'm
their
sure
stick.
you're
I know
crowd
a
will adapt
certain
to it,
goalie friend of mine will probably be out there for the entire hour taking pucks to the face. But that's what he lives for. So
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the crown jewel of the whole operation, the community center, the West River Community Center, year-round. The facility is always open. And what's happening there? People can look forward to this coming up this fall and winter there.
Well, we have self-paced triathlon going on right now. You can still sign up for that. That's a swim, bike, run where you record your own, and then they have different levels, and you get a T-shirt and so forth. They're offering an indoor soccer league. You can find that information on our
Interesting.
website.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tried that last fall too, and soccer's really
Is it
starting to take off in town.
get some traction in the community?
Right, with our youth program, the
Yeah.
Park and Rec, just this last summer now the soccer club took all of that over. So that's one thing you find with our it's really been a transition from when I started 24 years ago with the Park District.
Right.
Back when we started, the Park District had everything.
Yeah.
And now with, you've got a lot of special interest groups, Dickinson Diamonds, Mustang Baseball, the Youth Soccer Club, you've got a Youth Tackle Club now.
Yep.
So a lot of those youth programs we have kind of gotten out of. We have our 5- and 6-year-old T-ball and Summer Art and Play Park, and then for our school we have YAP flag football going on for 3rd, 4th, 5th grade right now. That starts on Monday. And then in the fall we have our, or in the spring, excuse me, we have our youth volleyball. But other than that, it's all these special interest groups, and they're doing a great job with them.
Well, good. Very good.
All right.
Sounds great. I'm sure you'll see a big spike membership come January 1st, as always.
Always, yeah.
And there is with the community center also, we do have adult leisure volleyball, and tennis. Drop-in
The golf
type
simulator?
things. Golf simulator, I believe, last I heard from Matt Mack, they are getting a new simulator.
Okay.
Oh,
I love that.
Brand
thing.
new,
That's great.
updated, state-of-the-art.
That's fun to come in the dead of January and get loose and
Hopefully,
get the swing going. Yeah.
once we get that in and get the tweaks out of that, we'll put together winter
Simulator leagues.
golf league again.
Look forward to that for sure, definitely. Great. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on the show today. We appreciate it. What's the website again if people want to get some information?
DickinsonParks.org.
Fantastic. Check it out. A lot of things happening, all the different leagues, all the different events coming up. Make sure to check them out at Dickinson Park and Rec and go support your local facilities for sure. We'll come back after this, look at the week ahead right here on Insight.
Consolidated is committed to providing advanced network systems and service to the business world, staying ahead of the curve by offering digital technology with voice over IP, Ethernet circuits, hosted telephone systems, as well as cloud-based networking. GNet fiber technology allows us to offer internet speeds up to 1 gig, making your network more efficient. Our sales and technical team take pride in providing state-of-the-art service to our customers. At Consolidated, we're here to listen and offer the most efficient solutions for your business.
All right, folks, welcome back to Inside. It's time for a look at the week ahead, the big stories coming up this weekend, and events happening in the area this weekend. Dustin, what's going on in Dickinson in the area this weekend?
A lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
There's a hot air balloon.
In Medora,
Hot air
Saturday?
balloons are in Medora on Saturday morning.
6 a.m. bright and early for all the balloon enthusiasts. Hot air balloon enthusiasts.
Hawks are in town this weekend against Northwestern College. Huge game. Big game. Gonna be a very good game.
Nice win against Valley City last weekend. Yeah.
We've got Veterans Appreciation Day, which I'll be covering on Saturday morning.
What is that? Where's that at?
It's a first inaugural thing that the Stark County Veterans Memorial Association is putting together.
Up at the new memorial.
Yep, they're dedicating 150 new names of people that got left off during the first dedication, and it's kind of coinciding with the 15th anniversary of September 11th, Patriot Day. And what they're going to be doing is dedicating that. They're going to have a salute to post 9/11 veterans and families, as well as first responders from our area. You know, obviously, they didn't put their lives on the line that day, but they play a huge role in our society, and I think that's more of what it's about. There's also some folks from our neck of the woods are going to be doing a stair climb at the Capitol. Some of the firefighters from our area, they'll be doing a stair climb at the Capitol.
All in gear, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
the whole deal. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's cool. So
very cool.
Yeah, they'll be doing that on September. I think it's on September 10th. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But there's that. There's also, we're doing a story on
wild horses.
Wild horses that were taken out of the park that people bought, and then they break them.
What was that?
So they can become riding horses.
A couple years ago, they had the big roundup there, and they took them into town and sold them at the auction ring.
And those horses are being brought back to the park to ride. People are going to ride them.
Interesting.
To the park.
They've broken them, and they've tamed them, and that was a crazy. That was a crazy story when it happened with the helicopters and stuff. And,
so Sid will be going out there to check that out. That'll be really cool.
There's the Harvest Jamboree.
You'll be down there.
I'll be down there. They got a big glow run on
hometown.
Friday night, but it's a full weekend of events. They got the car show. They got the glow run and walk and dance with me, Brockway Entertainment on Friday evening down there.
All kinds of
stuff. There's a parade on Saturday. There's a meal, all kinds of cool stuff. So.
Meal. We have
lunch.
There's a parade.
Barbecue.
Demo derby at 1 o'clock.
Everyone loves a demo derby.
The demo derby in New England is one of the best demo derbies around.
It
always is. It's really cool.
Demo derby in New England brought to you by Black Velvet and Busch Light.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding.
He's not. He's not entirely inaccurate.
Just a dumb joke. But it'll be fun though.
Ask Brown's Distributing if that's.
But it's always on Channel 18. It's one of the bigger ones in the area.
It is. It's really cool.
One,
We went down there one year. I took like 500 pictures at it once. It's actually on my photography website that I have. It's really cool. So I won't be able to make it
And then
down there.
Sunday
obviously,
at
so much
Kids
going on,
Rodeo.
but
Kids Rodeo on
yep.
Sunday, very cool.
Yep, they
A lot
always
of
do
cool
that
stuff
too,
down there.
so.
So make it down to New England for the big Harvest Jamboree. It's a big party down
Bull
there.
Run will be cool.
Lots going on. Yeah, I got some music down there. It'll be a fun weekend for sure. Dustin, what's happening this week in monkey business?
Well, each week I give my thoughts on something happening in our area. This weekend marks the 15th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks on our country. Every one of us has a story about 9/11. Everyone my age can tell you exactly where they were when the World Trade Center was hit. For me, it was in bed. When my dad woke me up to tell me what happened, most of the world at that point assumed it was an accident. It wasn't long before we realized it was something so much worse. I was a senior in high school when the towers fell. It was a strange time. The guys in our class as 17 and 18-year-olds wondered what was next. War? A draft? After all, the last time America was attacked like that, many of our grandfathers ended up being drafted into military service. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But some of the young men and women in our school that morning would go on to serve during the War on Terror by their own choice. Some are still serving. Every one of them that I know came back unharmed. Sadly, that wasn't the case for every American family. On Saturday, Dickinson will host its first Veterans Appreciation Day at Memorial Park, the site of the new Stark County Veterans Memorial, which is, even though it's new, probably the most underrated attraction in our city. Another 180 names have been placed on the memorial's 11 granite tablets since it was erected last year, and as they continue to try and raise funds to add to the site with a building, the Stark County veterans have organized what is sure to be a patriotic event, which begins at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Post-9/11 veterans, active military and their families will be special guests, and there'll be a tribute to first responders as well. It seems so strange that 9/11 happened 15 years ago. The world has changed so significantly since that day, in some ways for the better and in some ways worse. However, despite our nation's persistent troubles, many of which can trace back to that fateful Tuesday in September, it's our duty to honor those who lost their lives that day or fighting in the battles after it. And as we said in the days, weeks, and months after 9/11, we should never forget.
That was awesome, Dustin. Very good job. Yeah, it's hard to forget where you were. I was in bed as well.
Oh, yeah.
My mom woke me up. She's a plane hit the Trade Center. There's been an accident.
Almost exactly what my dad said.
I come out and it's on NBC News in the morning, and
Yep.
10 minutes later, there's a second plane.
Yep, I actually got into the
that's no
shower.
accident.
I looked at it on TV, got into the shower, came out, and by that time, the other plane had hit.
I'll never forget school that day. We didn't even have a class. We just sat and watched news all day in each classroom. They had a big thing in the gym that afternoon. If anyone wants to go home, wants to talk, and then, like you said, in the months and days afterwards, and months and weeks afterwards, military recruiters came to our school.
Absolutely.
Heavily. I'll never forget that. It just was like you said, the world has not been the same ever since, and
I have a friend
we've
who's
changed
still
forever.
I have a friend who's still serving. You know, one of my great friends is still active duty military, and my sister-in-law, Air Force. She actually works for the Department of State now, but she served during the War on Terror. There's just so many folks out there who are
some local people that never came back.
A couple local folks didn't come back.
Yeah.
So, we thank them obviously for their service.
Oh,
and
I
everyone
can't thank them
that
enough,
served
for
during
sure.
the war. But we were just talking before we went on, like 15 years ago. I mean, it seems like it was yesterday for us.
And there was a thing coming up on the internet. It's going to be making the Facebook rounds.
Of course.
That's where you get your news from,
Yeah.
right? the incoming class of high school freshmen wasn't alive for
Right.
9/11.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that weird to think that?
It is.
That's
And-
when we were. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's our duty as people who grew up around that and grew up.
Remind them of the gravity of the event.
Remind them of how serious it was and how it just dragged on for months after that. It's
I
all
didn't
you could
sleep
talk
that day. I
Really?
didn't. I went home and I watched cable news all night till 8
Yeah.
a.m. the next day for school. I didn't go to bed. I watched 24 hours of the wreckage and the recovery efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep. I remember watching every minute of it I could.
Well, and just everything that happened in that. I mean, like pro wrestling. The NFL.
They canceled all their events.
All
yeah.
the NFL got canceled. Pro wrestling had to take a
They
step
were the,
back.
They were the
such
first
a big
one.
thing at that time. Yeah.
They were the first one to have a publicly held function in Houston, Texas, the Thursday afterwards.
Right.
2 days later.
Baseball canceled for a week, and
the
that
World
was
Series got bumped into November because of it,
which was
kept
and
the
it ended up
schedule.
being one of the best World Series of all time.
Diamondbacks Yankees was fantastic.
It was one of the
and,
best World Series ever.
Giuliani and Bush throwing out the first pitches, and it was just so patriotic.
It's just amazing.
God bless America in the seventh inning, and
you just get goosebumps just talking about it.
I remember all of it like it was yesterday. It's a crazy thing. It's been 15 years since.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's our generation's duty to remind this younger generation now that, especially the veterans, especially what happened, and whether or not you were for or against the war. Just I think 9/11 needs to be brought into these folks, these younger kids' minds, of saying, hey, this was something like that had never happened before. This was a world-changing event, and it still lingers on today.
Unfortunately, our country probably hasn't. It will not be as united as it was in the days after until something like that happens again.
Well, and I think that's
the unfortunate part.
I mean, we were coming off a presidential election that was like literally 50-50.
So polarizing.
It's so polarizing, and then that happens, and it brought everyone together for a short time, but not long enough, because after that, then things really started to break down. I think people really started to become more divisive.
War came in.
War came into the play.
Ugly.
And yeah, things changed so greatly after that day and that Tuesday morning that it's hard to even like put it all into a couple words here.
Yeah,
so.
we can't have. There's not enough time to adjust our thoughts on 9/11. But definitely thank those that have served and continue to serve abroad and protect our freedoms and our liberties for sure.
Right.
Big thanks to Mr. Ryan Nelson coming in today, talk about the upcoming events at West River Community Center this fall and winter. Lots of leagues and indoor stuff. A lot to look forward to up there for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys next week right here on Insight.